Goeiedag. Kunst in Amsterdam. Ja, we zijn een multicultureel televisiestation, Kleurnet, en we doen heel veel aan kunst de laatste tijd. Het wordt natuurlijk winter, heel veel galeries, heel veel kunstenaars komen naar de stad, gaan hun kunsten vertonen, er zijn veel theatervoorstellingen. Vandaag praten we met Anhony Hopkins, hij komt van Jersey, dat is een eilandje vlak voor de kust van Frankrijk, maar het is een stuk van Engeland. En hij komt uit de wereld van, ja, zeg maar heel bijzondere kunstvormen. Vroeger maakte hij holografische kunst, maar hij heeft nu kunst die, misschien is het moeilijk te zien, maar als je daarnaar kijkt, van verschillende kanten een andere iets heeft. Eigenlijk kleuren, zeg maar, die je tegenkomt op moderne auto's. Van die metallic kleuren. Heel veel prachtig werk. Hij maakt dit ook voor t-shirts. Ik moet even proberen, want het glimt dus vreselijk in de camera. U begrijpt dat. En zo zien we dus een beetje hoe dat is. Glimwerk. Welcome, Anthony.
Yes,
hello.
Thank you.
Let's start with where you come from, Jersey. Many people don't really know where is that.
The island of Jersey. If you've ever seen Bergerac on television, the opening sequence for Bergerac, there's the island of Jersey, and as the camera pans out, you see Normandy and Brittany. So we're north of St. Malo, about an hour by boat. And historically, I can guess you can say that with 1066 and all that, the Duke of Normandy, who owned Jersey, invaded Britain. So really, Britain is a province of Jersey rather than Jersey being an island that belongs to Britain.
So it's an island with its own style, English spoken?
With its own independent government, which after the war led to it becoming a tax haven, because it has its own elected government that swears loyalty to the Queen of England. It's allowed to do its own thing.
Yeah, okay.
Well, financially it was allowed to do its own thing for a number of years.
And there's a lot of rich people. Is it a good place for making or selling art?
For making and selling, I find it's an excellent place to live because I've liked to live in an island community. I'm not from there. I'm from the middle of England originally. But I married a Jersey woman, and Jersey's
is your home now?
It's been my home since early 80s. Okay. So yeah.
Let's talk about your art. You started out with holographics to make holograms.
Yeah.
And now you make something you call techno art.
Well, it's a technological form of art involving computers. The work that I have here, if you look, for example,
let me try to
works
hold
into yeah, but that goes up into portrait rather than landscape.
Oh,
but you'll see what we have there is a transparency with a holographic file. If unfortunately the light is hitting this not very well, you get a blare, but you will see. There we go.
It changes.
Yeah,
it
is a chameleon blend of holographic colours and
and what I see is
colours
are metallic colours.
Yeah, they work this investigation with metallics. We could possibly be on the wrong camera there. That camera may be working, but there we go.
You see, there's very now you get this effect that you see. Now holographic art was something of the 80s, I have a feeling. It was like then when the laser were invented.
Well, you're correct. Holographic art started in California in the late 60s with the amount of money being put through, for example, the Hughes Corporation during the Vietnam War. More money was put into lasers because of the possibilities. After that war was finished, lasers were left over, and people started using them for the right brain creative things rather than the other things. So holography was born both in California.
Let's try to explain to the people. Many people have seen it. If you take a Visa card, you see a little holographic image. Yes, yeah. It stands out, and one of the things is that if you look at the painting, you feel depth. Yeah. Yes, it's like you're looking at something. Yeah. But you need special lighting, and that's what we actually experience here. That the studio lighting is not the greatest lighting for this.
Yeah. This is one problem with this is a different technique, but the original holograms would only be relit when the angle with which they were originally were lit was achieved. Therefore, holograms are not particularly user-friendly.
No.
And the thing like in Star Wars of Princess Leia appearing projected on a table.
Yeah.
Well, that's only ever happened within the computer effects in a movie studio. That has never happened in real life, but people do expect holograms to.
Yeah, but what I've
there on
seen
the table.
actually in Japan, I've seen that in a controlled environment, in the sense that you could only see it from a certain angle. But I was at shows in Japan where you see a little puppet dance there. Now it was not solid, you could still look through it, but it was a fascinating thing to see something dance there that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all holograms contain this element of there is the information in 3D, and you know that it's coming off of a two-dimensional plate. So this kind of mystery has always been there.
Yeah, and what you're now doing is using part of that technology. The fact that I see, so this is multi-layer. In fact, your technology is a multi-layer technology.
That is part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And these colors. I mean, I explained to the people that apart from the little stars, you probably can't see that, but there's all little stars and a little bit of psychedelic effect. Yeah.
So, yeah. This is true. So, but you have two things working here. You have the color from the printing technique, and the color from the holographic technique in intimate contact. Like, for example, if you show that piece, the pink within the color, it is super pink, if you wish.
Yeah.
Where if I want to make a statement with pink, then I can go with that. If I want to make a statement that it's a copper color, it's just an aid too.
Yeah.
But this is part of an overall work I'm working on at the moment. These are actually, the root of these was work that was channeled, was given to me by a higher version of myself, possibly. A feeling of what it's like to meet someone. We're going to another story here, but I met someone in Holland 3 years ago now who had a very deep effect on me, and that is how I felt.
How I felt, yeah. Now, coming back, we'll talk about the spirituality later, but I'm sitting here in front of a rather bad copy, of course, of Vincent van Gogh.
Finish, yeah.
He had the same technique in the sense that you feel little points give another dimension to things, and there's something similar to this. As you have the surface is different.
I think you've picked up on a very good analogy there, because also Vinny had a very emotional, towards the end of his life, emotional outlook on his paintings, and also the medical problem that he had and the medicine he was taking for it meant that when he looked at yellow, it really was hotter than these studio lights, for example, and blue is there to compensate. So you always see within Van Gogh's work the yellow and the blue, and the two work together. I mean, they're my two favourite colours. If I was going to make a very definite spiritual statement, I would use...
Maybe we can, yes. So in the background we have, as I say, it's not the real thing, of course, but Van Gogh's, but it's a painting, and it's not a copy, and that's for copyright protection reasons, so it's a bad copy. But you see there's the same choice of colors, and there's something of the same effect. Now,
it could be we're coming from the same thing, because you're talking of points of light, and the brush strokes there are indicative of it isn't pointillistic, but it's leading toward light points. And this between the printing technique
here you can
and
see
the graphics,
the richness of the colors that come out of this
particularly
technique.
the mountain at the bottom of the crop circle there.
Yes, there's really...
And that does have a dimensional feel to it.
Yes. Now, you said that you use this also for design for T-shirts. Can you keep this quality of image on a T-shirt?
Yes, it's something I've been working on for a number of years. The idea first came to me when I was teaching holography at the Frey University in the beginning of '98. I came across a guy from Brabant who has perfected a technique of fixing holograms onto T-shirts so that you can actually wash the garment. I mean, holograms are not user-friendly for washing by any means, but it is a technique where the hologram is encapsulated in an envelope of plastic, and the plastic is welded into the T-shirt. Personally, I don't go too much on large things of plastic on a T-shirt. For example, a design like this is one of my own, is down to transfer, whereas we can take this hologram, say just this detail of the mountain, encapsulate it within plastic, weld it into the T-shirt, and that will still be there performing holographically when the T-shirt has rotted.
Yeah.
It's part of an ongoing technology that I've been working with for a while. And as such, these designs were all originated here in Holland. I went back to Jersey. I've been there for the last 2 years working in my own environment. I find that Netherlands and Amsterdam in particular is very, very good for inspiration. But when it comes down for those long periods of just work, travail, then Jersey, where I know where to work, I mean, I was privileged that with my holography, where stability is an absolute necessity, I had access to a Napoleonic bunker, as Jersey is part of England during the Napoleonic Wars. Some very heavy-duty military forts were built, Martello Towers,
so it was very stable, and you... Yes.
Walls 2 meters thick granite. You couldn't build a better environment for holography. So
yeah, because you need that laser to be absolutely...
If anything moves at a molecular level, you're in trouble. So this absolute stability was something that most of Holland, Amsterdam in particular, the streets are up everywhere. You can see you're sitting on a sandbank.
Yes.
And you're having to put poles down to such a distance.
Oh, yeah.
So you can never get the stability.
Even here, we feel when the trucks are passing.
When the trams go past, you know, after the bell comes.
You feel it.
So it's very, very difficult. But I did have privilege to with access to this Napoleonic fort, and also it was on a very effective ley line. The dolmen that originally existed was above where I used to
dolmen
work.
is a big stone.
It's it's a large stone structure which. For Earth Energies is the equivalent of a substation at the end of the block for
a chakra point or a acupuncture point of Earth.
And the Lieutenant Governor of the island at the time thought it was that good and powerful. He actually had the stone shipped to England and put in his rather large garden. So, but the ley line's still there. It's now. I had that studio since. The 80s, and I've only just broke it down now, and it's about to become an internet radio station. But it goes on. It's a creative. It is a very creative. That ley line is a very creative influence. I know other people that have worked on that.
But you're actually at the moment working with people from the Free University on holograms.
While I'm here, I do need to talk with people from there. But what's going to happen in the future there, I'm not sure at the moment. Okay, I do actually have the technical equipment from my studio, which if holography is going to go on in the Netherlands, as it won't be going on in Jersey anymore, I'm quite open to.
Okay, now so we're slowly getting away from your technology into the content matter, as they say. Yeah. You know, when we look at this stuff, it's rather spiritual. I mean, we're looking at a heart and images and certain symbols, spiral forms. Where does that come from?
The spiritual metamorphoses. It's ideas that, as I say, I've been working on for years now. It comes from I met someone who I know from another life. The only reason why I could feel this way about this person...
Was he a soulmate, or was it someone who killed you in the other life?
Well, while I've been here, I've met both, actually. It's very strange. There's a good story with it. The one that makes me feel like so is, of course, a soulmate. Made me feel like an angel, almost. This is what I'm trying to put over with this work, the way that
the feeling that you have met someone who's a soulmate and where you...
The way that one limb melts into the other, where's the difference? Where does one body stop, does the other one start?
Yeah.
Does it love like two wicks sharing the same candle? That kind of thing. I've repeated this image so many times, trying to say the same thing, and here's like my soul's left my body, and it's just dancing away in joy. Because the soul knows, the mind is trying to do a lot of different tricks, but
yeah. We were also. This is one.
This is a cover to a book of mine, The Unseen Occupation.
Yeah, but again, inspiration, so to speak, from
Yeah.
from the sky. From
Yeah.
we were
In
just
fact, this space here is for a hologram of the Earth, which inserts in there, but the hologram isn't in there at the moment. On display, it would be.
Yeah.
Again, the same idea: the angelic feeling, the arm melting, and the soul releasing from the body, and just dancing.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
and all the time these play with colors. Here we have dolphins and the feeling of actually the pyramids. No, those
Yeah.
are the pyramids.
Yeah.
This is probably very hard to see.
Yeah. I could really use a gallery space while I'm here to show them to their best
To
effect.
show the stuff here, but these inspirations are the result of meeting people only, or is it you took some drugs? Because some of the stuff looks a little bit acid-like, and we're in Amsterdam, so nobody.
Yeah. Well, there is that too, and I have a number of works, psychedelic views of Amsterdam, which are part of the T-shirt designs. One in particular, I thought about it for a long time, and then in an evening it appeared after a lot of work, and it's just called The Arrival of the Aquarian Energy, Central Station. And there's a classic shot of Central Station with a lightning bolt of energy striking it. It's actually a triptych as the bolt strikes. I do have that in Amsterdam with me somewhere. I'll bring that around to see it.
Yeah.
It is. I did have ideas for T-shirt designs, and you see a lot of psychedelic galleries, smart shops, things like this. And they seem to be, if they're selling whatever product, it's an overspill from the kind of cooler coffee shop merchandise supply.
Yes. Now this one, if you can see that,
The world in a crop circle.
Yes, the world in a crop circle. This is very in your technology, but let me explain it. These are crop circles and the world and whatever. Do you feel that Earth is in a phase of change? Are we moving into another era?
Well, I think that's pretty obvious, really. There's what's happening in the world. Yeah, we've been moving towards something for a while, but do seem to be accelerating in some way.
Yeah, in some ways we're still, gravely linked to money and to the stock market and stuff like that. Yeah. And these crop circles are now seen in many countries, also in Holland we have them, in England. They're becoming more and more complex.
Mm.
What do you think is happening there? What is your take on that?
I'm not really sure. I've been, of course, interested in... I think I had an interest in crop circles and fractals at about the same time, and I think there's obviously something intelligent behind it, and the same intelligence went into Mandelbrot to make the first equations for fractals. It's quite strange that a fractal appeared where the night Mandelbrot did his original thing, and the what's that shape that reappears in the middle of a fractal called? But anyway, that shape has appeared near to where was it Oxford?
So from out of the world of the ideas, which is mathematics, appeared forms that now appear in the world, and some people say it's like another dimension. I think that's a good example.
I think that to talk in higher dimensions is the best model for it. In the same way that what the planets that NASA refer to as gas giants are, according to if you look at Hindu Shastra, the Vedas, for example, they explain Saturn as being a 5th or 7th dimensional planet, and a ball of gas with rings around it is a 3-dimensional shadow of a high-dimensional object.
Yeah, so
this could be not a gas giant where a shadow is not real.
So this is only what we see. This might be one dimension of what is there in many more dimensions.
Yeah. I mean, to prove that materially is another thing.
But have we improved?
Altogether.
I mean, scientifically, we have the mathematics, but people like Tesla, who obviously he was, I think, was a Serbian guy who came to America and invented
alternating current,
and many other things. You could say that our world of light and electricity is thanks to him, but seemingly he knew things that we've lost. One of the things that you were explaining was that he could put
instinctively.
Yeah,
precise. He came here with that full knowledge. So, had he recently...
But that's now in, a century ago.
A century ago. Well, Edison needed alternating current to solve his biggest problems.
Which was loss of power because of the...
And Tesla solved that problem for him. For example, in Jersey, a few years ago, we're near to Cap de la Hague, where the French reprocess all of the crap that their power stations make, and if there's ever an accident there, then the Channel Islands food chain is threatened first, not the French.
You're talking about nuclear
power. And why all this so much money goes to nuclear power when we just know it's dirty. There are clean energies there, but
especially there, because the ocean waves, for instance, in that area are very strong.
Well, we have the highest tides in the world. When 10 metre tides are quite common in Jersey. When I lived over in Amoudan, over on the coast here, I think
it's
10
three and a half normally. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would have frightened them a little bit. And then further down, as you get into the bay between Normandy and Brittany, with the River Ronce, they actually have the tidal barrier there. The tide goes in, they put the barrier, and as the tide goes down in the water, and that works well.
Yeah. But as a basic feeling, do you think that we have explored technology enough, or that would you expect that in this century we were going to see new breakthroughs in technology?
I think a lot of it is already there, and the research has already been done. The problem is it's the motive for what you do with the technology. For example, with lasers, in England, a D notice goes on them. That is, if you want to make a patent, the Ministry of Defence, if it's anything possibly to do with defence, which lasers always were, the military have to look at it first to see if it's of any use to them. So any technology that we're allowed to play with, video cameras that can be used in security systems, what have you, the military have long since had their use.
So you say, in fact, it's there. We just,
we get to use the leftovers, or artists in particular get to use the leftovers. It was the same with holography. The lasers were left over and were no use for.
But like there was
in the Vietnam War.
At one time, there was the feeling that we would have flat screens. Now we have flat screens for television, but then people said we would have holographic projections of images, and that hasn't materialized, as you say, except in very, very precise laboratory situations.
Well, I mean, when I was a kid in the 50s, I thought in the future people would be wearing shiny suits and riding around on hover scooters.
Yeah.
And to me, in the 1950s, the year 2000 and beyond was the future. Now I'm in the future, no one's got silver suits or hover scooters, and everyone seems to be working harder for less. So that wasn't the future I thought in the 50s. So.
Okay, but your art definitely has evolved, and it's a shining example of.
Well, that piece, for example, made in Amoudan at the end of '97. It's a composite of a lot. Yeah, there's a good angle there. There's myself there. There's the angel with the world and the yin yang at the bottom of the feet. There's another shot. It's as you say, it's multi-layered. It's viewable in 2 dimensions, but you can see there are dimensions there just waiting to pop out. So
the piece
it's
changes of the location where you and the angle of the light.
Within the parallax, for example, there are some pieces. If you put glasses with Polaroid off axis, then they do work as 3D. I work with 3D with the red green, the old 50s separation, anything to do with 3D and actually cramming layers within one. It's the way Salvador Dali did some of his art. For example, the slave market and the bust of Voltaire. That's a layered image, because is it the bust of Voltaire? Is it the 2 slaves that make up Voltaire's face?
Yeah.
And I mean, Dali also did a piece that was 3 different things as you looked at it from 3 distances.
Yeah.
It was
I've seen quite a few artists lately who use layers, and these people tell me that if you as a painter start out with, say, a red, and then you overpaint it with something else, and then with something else, then still you can feel the red. Your eyes don't see it, maybe don't register it, and then I see them using layers of gold or silver in between, and it gives a special aura, whatever. It's you feel it. It's different.
Yeah,
multi-layered.
I would agree with that. It's trying to allow these layers, as you can see within this. The final hologram I made at the FOO was actually a hologram that recorded an emotion. It was how I felt. It was nothing to do with the real world. The holographic technique involved a rose that looked like it was dying. In fact, it was. Technically, it was a terribly poor hologram because you could hardly see the 3D within it. The rose was dying, but there were two figures to each side. It was called separation, two people moving away from each other. And within the two figures moving away, a lot of emotion went into those, and it comes through in the piece. In fact, I have made copies using the printing system that I use here, and it still comes over 3D. Even though I've taken it away from its original holographic emulsion, the 3D is still there.
Well, Anthony Hopkins, we've been talking with him about his art. You call it technological art?
Holography to technological art is a fair way to describe
what
something that is so layered.
Okay, and we are hoping to get some video material from you to show you the people a little bit more of your work. And thank you for being in the studio.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.